Something is wrong with Caleb Odell. At first glance, he's still the same charming cowboy Heartland has known for years. The easy smile, the teasing remarks, the steady hand with the horses. But look closer and you'll see it. The late-night phone calls, the unexplained trips to Vancouver, the way he avoids certain questions. In Heartland Season 19, a quiet storm is building, and when the truth finally comes out, it will shake the ranch to its core. Caleb's secret isn't just personal. It's about to drag the whole family into a choice they never thought they'd face. It starts small, too small for anyone to notice at first. Caleb begins disappearing on weekends, telling Amy he's helping a friend with a rodeo circuit out west. No one questions it. After all, Caleb has always been a man of the road, chasing competitions and opportunities. But when he returns, there's something different in his eyes. Not tiredness, something heavier, like he's carrying a weight too big for one person. Jack catches it first. One evening, over a quiet supper in the kitchen, he asks Caleb about his trip. Caleb smiles, shrugs, says Vancouver's weather is as bad as the rumors. Jack lets it slide, but his instincts tell him there's more to the story. As the weeks pass, the changes grow harder to ignore. Caleb spends more time alone, lingering in the barn long after chores are done. Amy notices him staring at his phone with a look that's not business. It's personal. When she asks, he changes the subject. Lou, busy juggling her mayoral duties, brushes it off until she overhears a fragment of a phone conversation in the hallway. Caleb's voice, low and tense, saying, "I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this from them." By now, rumors are starting to ripple through Hudson. Some say Caleb's got a business deal on the side. Others whisper about trouble from his past. But the truth is far stranger. Late one night, Amy finds him in the loft packing a small duffel bag. She asks where he's going. For a moment, he hesitates, like he wants to tell her everything, but then he mutters something about an early rodeo meet and brushes past her. The truck's headlights fade into the darkness, leaving Amy with a knot in her stomach. What no one at Heartland knows is that Caleb's trips to Vancouver have nothing to do with rodeos. There's someone waiting for him there, someone he hasn't seen in years. Their connection is tied to a chapter of his life he's never spoken about, a chapter that could change the way everyone sees him. And now, in Season 19, that past is knocking harder than ever. The real question isn't what Caleb is hiding, it's how long before it catches up to him. The cracks begin to widen when Caleb misses an important ranch meeting. Jack had gathered everyone to discuss repairs for the south pasture, but Caleb never showed. Hours later, he walks in with his boots dusty and his shirt wrinkled, looking like he'd been somewhere far from cattle and fences. When Jack asks where he's been, Caleb mumbles something about handling things in town and heads straight for the barn. The air in the room shifts, quiet, uneasy. Amy exchanges a glance with Lou, both knowing something's off, but neither ready to push him. The truth starts to slip out one evening when Amy finds Caleb sitting alone in the old round pen, staring at nothing. The light is fading, the air cold enough to see her breath, but he doesn't move. She sits down beside him, not speaking at first. Finally, Caleb says, "Do you ever think about the people you left behind?" Amy is caught off guard. She asks him what he means, but he just shakes his head, says it's complicated. There's a tightness in his voice, like if he says one more word, everything will come spilling out. 2 days later, a letter arrives for Caleb. No return address, just his name in careful handwriting. Lou happens to pick up the mail and notices it. The paper's slightly worn, like it's traveled far. She doesn't mention it, but she watches Caleb when he sees it. His expression freezes for a split second before he tucks it into his jacket and walks away. That night, Amy swears she hears the sound of tearing paper coming from the loft. The tension boils over when a man shows up at Maggie's diner, asking for Caleb by name. He's dressed in plain clothes, but there's something sharp in his posture. Something official. He leaves a business card with Lou, telling her it's urgent. When she hands it to Caleb later, he goes pale, like the ground just shifted beneath him. "This doesn't concern the ranch," he says quickly, shoving the card into his pocket. It's personal, but his tone isn't convincing. Finally, on a cold evening, Caleb drives out to the west pasture where Amy is checking the fence line. The sky is darkening, and there's a weight in his movements as he walks toward her. "I owe you the truth," he says quietly, His voice is rough, like it's been fighting the words for too long. He tells her he's been going to Vancouver to meet with someone connected to his past, a past that started long before Heartland. Years ago, before the rodeo, and before he ever stepped foot on the ranch, Caleb was involved in something he thought he'd left behind. And now, that past is standing at his door, demanding to be faced. He doesn't give her every detail. Yet. Just enough to make Amy realize this isn't a small mistake or a misunderstanding. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. It's personal, and it could tear apart everything Caleb has built at Heartland. The worst part? Amy can see in his eyes that he hasn't decided whether he's going to fight it or run from it. The night had settled over Hudson like a heavy blanket. The streets were quiet, the barn lights dim, and the cold air carried the faint scent of hay and wood smoke. Amy had been unable to sleep ever since Caleb had pulled her aside earlier that day. His eyes, usually warm and straightforward, had carried a weight she couldn't name. It wasn't just worry, it was fear. Fear of something too big to speak about casually. And when he mentioned Vancouver, her heart skipped. Why there? Why now? The next day, Amy found herself in the barn long before sunrise. She thought she might get a few moments of peace, brushing Spartan's mane and breathing in the familiar calm of the horses. But even the steady rhythm of her work couldn't quiet her thoughts. What had Caleb been hiding? And why did it feel like it wasn't just his secret, but something that could ripple through all of their lives? By mid-morning, Caleb arrived. He didn't have his usual relaxed swagger. Instead, he looked as though he had aged years overnight. His hands were shoved deep in his jacket pockets, and his jaw was tight. "Amy, we need to talk," he said finally. The words hung in the air. Amy nodded, her stomach tightening. "About Vancouver?" she asked, her voice low. Caleb's eyes flickered. "Yeah, about Vancouver." He glanced toward the barn door, as if to make sure no one else was listening, then stepped inside and closed it behind him. "I didn't tell you everything yesterday because, honestly, I wasn't ready. I still don't know if I'm ready now, but keeping it in any longer, it's eating me alive." Amy waited, but he didn't continue right away. She could see the conflict in him, the part of him that wanted to unload the truth, and the part of him that feared what would happen once it was out in the open. "When I went to Vancouver," he began slowly, "it wasn't just for the rodeo. That's what I told everyone. That's what I wanted people to believe. But there was another reason, a bigger reason. And it's the kind of thing that, if it gets out, it changes everything." Amy's pulse quickened. "Caleb, you're scaring me." He shook his head, as if frustrated with himself. "I know, and that's why I kept it quiet. I didn't want to drag you into this, or anyone, but things have gotten complicated." He paced the barn floor, each step heavy with hesitation. "In Vancouver," he said finally, "I met someone. Not just anyone. Someone from my past. Someone I thought I'd never see again." Amy frowned. An old friend? Caleb hesitated, then shook his head. "No, not a friend. More like someone who knows too much about me, about my family, about things I thought were buried for good." The air between them felt thick. Amy could hear Spartan shifting in his stall, the soft clink of a water bucket. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the barn door. "Who?" Amy pressed. Caleb looked at her with an expression she had never seen before. A mix of guilt, fear, and something else she couldn't place. "Her name's Leah," he said quietly. "We grew up together, back before I came to Hudson, before rodeo, before everything." Amy searched his face. "And what does she have to do with now?" Caleb exhaled slowly. "Because she didn't just show up to say hi. She showed up with a warning. And if what she told me is true, someone's in danger." Amy's heart thudded in her chest. "Danger? Caleb, what are you talking about?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I can't give you all the details yet. Not until I'm sure, but Leah's been living in Vancouver for years, and she's been keeping tabs on someone connected to me. Someone who's been making moves that could hurt people here, in Hudson." Amy felt a cold shiver down her spine. "Hurt who?" Caleb's voice was quiet, but the words were sharp. "You, Jack, Lisa. anyone close to me. The barn felt suddenly smaller, the air tighter. Why didn't you tell us right away? Amy asked, struggling to keep her voice steady. Because I didn't know if I could believe her, Caleb admitted. I didn't know if she was trying to protect me or set me up. And until I could figure that out, I didn't want to risk putting anyone in more danger. He paused, his gaze fixed on the floor. But now, things have changed. Leah left Vancouver last week. She's here, Amy, in Hudson. Amy's breath caught. She's here? Where? I don't know exactly, Caleb said, but she called me last night, said she has proof of what she's been warning me about, and she wants to meet. Amy stared at him, her mind racing. So you're going to meet her? Yes, Caleb said, but not alone. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sound of the horse's breathing filled the silence. Amy felt a mix of emotions. Fear for what Caleb might be walking into, frustration that he hadn't come to her sooner, and curiosity about what truth could possibly be big enough to shake him like this. Caleb's voice softened. Amy, I need you to understand something. Whatever happens next, it's going to change things. Maybe for all of us. And once you hear what I have to say, there's no going back. She nodded slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. And in that moment, she realized that this wasn't just Caleb's secret anymore. It was hers too. And now, as Caleb's words still hang in the air, the truth feels closer than ever, yet still out of reach. What started as a casual conversation in a quiet corner of Heartland has turned into a confession that could rewrite everything we thought we knew. Vancouver wasn't just a trip. It wasn't just business. It was a turning point. A moment in Caleb's life where decisions were made and secrets were locked away. Until now. The weight in his voice, the look in his eyes, it tells us one thing. This isn't just about him. This is about everyone at Heartland. Amy, Jack, Lou, even Ty's memory. And the more he speaks, the more we realize that the heart of this confession isn't about where he went, it's about why. Every sentence feels like pulling back another layer, but instead of clarity, we're finding deeper shadows. Did Caleb make a promise in Vancouver? Did he meet someone who could change the course of the Bartlett-Fleming family's future? Or is this about a choice he regrets, one he's been carrying like a stone in his chest? And just when you think you have the answer, Caleb leaves us with one final haunting line. Something so simple, yet so loaded with meaning that it sends shivers down your spine. A sentence that doesn't give closure. It opens a door. A door to questions, doubts, and the undeniable feeling that something is about to break. Heartland has always been about love, family, and finding the strength to heal. But this feels different. This feels like the moment where past and present collide, and the truth refuses to stay buried. Caleb's confession may have started here, but the ripples will reach every single person we care about. So as we leave this moment behind, one thing is certain. The next chapter will test loyalties, reveal long-hidden truths, and force everyone at Heartland to face the consequences of choices made in silence. The question now is, when the truth finally comes out, will it heal the family or break it forever? But beyond the secrets and the shadows, there's still hope. Because Heartland isn't just a place. It's a family. A family that's been tested before and found a way to stand stronger. Caleb's confession is just the beginning of a journey. One that will push every one of them to their limits, but also remind them what truly matters. Trust, love, and the courage to face the unknown together. As the sun sets over the ranch, casting long shadows across the fields, one thing is clear. The story isn't over. It's only just beginning. And when the next chapter unfolds, you won't want to miss a single moment.